The hum of the starship was constant, a low vibration beneath the polished floors and glowing panels. Kieran had been assigned to the observation deck for routine maintenance, a task he found monotonous but necessary. The ship had been in orbit around Clyra 7 for weeks now, a world recently discovered to hold traces of intelligent life. He wiped the sweat from his brow and adjusted his tool belt. The lights from the observation panels reflected off his dark hair as he checked the atmospheric readings. Nothing unusual. Routine work. Safe. And then the air shifted. It wasn't a gust or a change in pressure, but something subtler, a presence that prickled the skin at the back of his neck. Kieran turned slowly. Across the observation room, a figure stood by the massive viewport. At first he thought it was a reflection, an illusion of the lights bouncing off the glass. But it wasn't. She was real. The alien was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with faint, iridescent hues, like the scales of deep-sea creatures back on Earth, catching the light in subtle waves. She moved with a grace that seemed almost liquid, crossing the room in silence despite her size. Every step was deliberate, confident. She looked at him with eyes that were wide and luminous, reflecting not fear, not aggression, but something curious. Kieran's heart raced, though he tried to steady his breathing. The ship's protocols had strict instructions: do not engage unknown life forms without assistance. But there was something in her gaze, something human, something relatable that made hesitation impossible. She stopped a few feet away from him and tilted her head slightly, studying him. Then slowly, she raised a hand in a gesture that seemed both cautious and friendly. Kieran found himself mirroring the movement, unsure why, as if instinct had taken over. Her smile was soft, subtle, almost hesitant, but it carried warmth. He felt it like a current, strange but comforting. I'm Kieran, he said, unsure if she understood him or if the words would even matter. The alien tilted her head again, then produced a small device from a strap on her shoulder. It emitted a soft blue light that expanded into symbols floating in the air between them. Words formed in Kieran's mind, not audible but clear nonetheless. I am Leah. I wish to understand. Kieran swallowed. Understanding. That word alone was dangerous here. On first contact missions, misunderstanding could lead to death. Yet something about her made the danger feel distant, like a story unfolding slowly, not a threat looming. He nodded, unsure what else to do. I can help. Show me what you want to understand. For a moment, Leah hesitated. Then she gestured toward the massive viewport. Outside, the planet below swirled with clouds, rivers glinting like silver threads under the sunlight. Kieran realized she was curious about this view, about the technology, about the human who controlled this small corner of the universe. She moved closer, hands hovering over the controls as if she were absorbing every detail. Kieran watched, fascinated, as her form reflected in the glass, merging with the stars beyond. She didn't touch anything, only observed, yet the presence she carried was magnetic. Time passed in silence, punctuated only by the ship's hum. Kieran realized he hadn't blinked in minutes. Finally, he found the courage to speak. You've never seen a human ship before, have you? She shook her head. The wordless translation filled his mind. No, not like this. Kieran smiled, though nervously. It's not much, but it keeps us alive out here. I suppose it's like your world's shelters? Leah's eyes glimmered as though she understood exactly. Then, with a fluid motion, she circled to stand closer, her posture relaxed, no longer cautious but not threatening either. She leaned slightly forward, examining a panel, her gaze flicking to him occasionally. Kieran noticed details he would have missed in a normal encounter. The way her movements seemed to anticipate the smallest detail, the way her expression shifted subtly when she focused, the way her presence filled the room without forcing anything. You are different, he murmured aloud. Not aggressive, not invaders, different, alive in a way that humans rarely felt. Her smile widened slightly. A silent acknowledgement. Suddenly, a warning tone erupted from the console behind him. Kieran jumped back, heart pounding, and Leah's eyes followed the readout. The planet below had activated some form of energy pulse, invisible yet powerful. The ship shook slightly, and Kieran struggled to keep his balance. Leah extended her hand toward him. Not in threat, not in command, but in cooperation. Kieran hesitated, then took it. Instantly, a calm passed through him, as though the pulse itself had been mediated by her presence. The shaking subsided, the alarms faded. "You stopped it?" Kieran asked, astonished. She shook her head. Words came to his mind again. "Not me. Together." Kieran blinked. Together. The idea resonated. Not human or alien alone, but collaboration, shared purpose. The first sign of true HFY potential, he realized. Humans didn't survive by isolation. They thrived by connection, by adaptability, and now, faced with Leah, he saw it mirrored in someone entirely different from him. For the next hours, they explored the ship. Leah absorbed the basics of human technology quickly, asking questions in thought rather than voice. Kieran taught her, pointing to panels, explaining systems, showing her how the engines worked, how the shields stabilized, how the sensors detected movement and energy patterns in space. She followed every instruction with attention, occasionally tilting her head in curiosity. There were no mistakes, only learning. Every human error he tried to demonstrate, she corrected instinctively. Not out of arrogance, but precision. By the time the observation deck lights dimmed to night mode, Kieran realized he hadn't been alone for one single moment. Her presence, though alien, was reassuring, engaging, and strangely grounding. He wasn't sure if he had been teaching her, or if she had been teaching him something more profound about human intuition, about resilience, about the ability to connect across barriers. Finally, Leah moved toward him again, not threatening, not demanding, only moving closer in a gesture that mirrored the early human instinct of trust. She hovered for a moment, the faint iridescence of her skin reflecting the dim lights. Then she smiled, and Kieran realized it was the same smile from the beginning, but somehow warmer, deeper, fuller. "You will see," her thought form reached him. "The world is not only ours. Together we can protect it." Kieran felt a surge of purpose he hadn't felt in months of routine maintenance. This encounter, this strange alien intelligence, was not only history in the making, it was a reminder of why humanity survived in the first place. Adaptation, curiosity, connection, and courage. He nodded, though she wouldn't see it. "Together," he said aloud, almost to reassure himself. Outside, the stars spun silently, indifferent and magnificent. Inside, the human and the alien stood facing one another. The beginning of a partnership that would change everything, not through force, not through conquest, but through understanding, trust, and the undeniable spark of human ingenuity. And as Leah's smile lingered, Kieran realized something simple yet profound. Some meetings weren't just about survival. They were about discovering the best parts of who you were, reflected in someone entirely different. The observation deck remained quiet after that, but Kieran felt it differently now. No longer a room filled with hums and alarms, but a space of possibility, of potential, of the first step towards something bigger than either of them could imagine alone. He did not know what the next day would bring. New dangers? Challenges from the unknown world below? Perhaps, but for the first time in a long time he felt ready. Not because he was human and not because she was alien, but because together they could face whatever came next. And Leah's smile remained, a subtle, unspoken promise that this was only the beginning. The stars beyond the viewport sparkled like scattered diamonds, indifferent to the struggles and triumphs of those who traveled among them. Kieran adjusted the controls of the observation deck one last time, ensuring the readings from Cleara 7 were stable. Leah hovered nearby, her eyes following every movement with the same curiosity and intensity that had captured him yesterday. Today felt different. The air between them was charged, not with danger but with purpose. Kieran could feel the weight of potential, the sense that something significant was about to unfold. "Are you ready?" he asked, not knowing if she would respond in words or thought. She tilted her head, and her thought form reached him clearly. "Yes, I am ready." The ship's sensors began to beep softly, indicating a spike in energy readings from the planet's surface. Kieran frowned. Leah's eyes flickered toward the monitors. "They are waking," she thought. Kieran didn't need translation. Something below the clouds had been dormant, and now it stirred. "Dormant life forms?" he murmured. Leah nodded. Intelligent, advanced, protective. The human heart often thrived on curiosity, and Kieran was no exception. "We need to see them." "Carefully," he said. Leah's hand brushed over the controls and the ship descended toward the planet's surface. The orbiting view of rivers and forests shifted to sweeping landscapes of alien flora, vibrant and unfamiliar yet strangely harmonious. As they approached, Kieran noticed structures emerging through the canopy, geometric patterns that suggested planning, thought, civilization. Leah's glow pulsed softly, anticipation in her movements. "This is it," she communicated, "our first chance to learn, to show what humans can do." The ship touched down gently in a clearing, engines quiet except for the hum beneath their feet. Kieran unstrapped himself and opened the hatch, careful not to disturb the surrounding environment. Leah moved beside him, gliding lightly over the ground as if gravity barely touched her. Her form shimmered in the filtered sunlight, reflecting colors Kieran couldn't name. The clearing was silent at first. Trees with wide, crystalline leaves surrounded them, their branches swaying though no wind touched them. Strange creatures, small and luminescent, scuttled in the shadows, but none approached aggressively. Kieran realized that despite her alien appearance, Leah seemed perfectly at ease here. She understood the balance of this world, the way energy flowed through life itself. Suddenly, movement in the clearing caught their attention. Figures emerged from behind crystalline trunks. Tall, lean, covered in patterned armor-like skin, their eyes glinting with intelligence. Kieran's pulse quickened. Proper first contact was always tense. Mistakes could mean hostility or death. But Leah did not tense. She stepped forward, calm, almost regal in her bearing. Kieran followed her lead, trying to match her composure. The aliens regarded them carefully but did not attack. Leah lifted her hand in a peaceful gesture, then spoke in her thought form. Kieran could sense the words translating instantly. "We come in peace. We wish to understand. We are not a threat." The aliens shifted slightly, speaking among themselves in clicks and hums. Kieran caught fragments of meaning, not exact words, but enough to sense curiosity rather than hostility. One of the taller figures stepped forward, raising a limb in recognition. Leah's expression softened. "They are leaders," she communicated. "They want to know if we can be allies." Kieran swallowed hard, feeling the weight of responsibility. Humans had the ability to communicate, to adapt, to reason. That was their greatest strength, their hallmark in the galaxy. And now, with Leah at his side, he could demonstrate it in a way no human had before. "Hello," he said aloud, voice steady. "I am Kieran. I represent Earth." The alien paused, then moved a step closer. A gesture followed, which Leah translated. "You are different, strong, curious, alive in a way we respect." Kieran nodded. "We want to learn from you, and we can offer knowledge in return." The aliens made a series of subtle signals, then stepped aside, allowing Kieran and Leah to explore deeper into the forest. The structures here were remarkable. Towers of crystal, energy channels flowing like liquid between them. Leah touched one lightly, and the structure hummed in response. Kieran marveled. Technology and life intertwined seamlessly here, the way humans only dreamed of in their own world. Hours passed as they walked, learning from each other. Leah acted as a bridge, translating gestures and thoughts, demonstrating the human ability to adapt and improvise. Kieran found himself improvising too, using simple tools and logic to interact with alien machinery. Each small success was celebrated silently between them, smiles shared in understanding. Then came the test. A sudden tremor shook the ground. Kieran caught his balance just in time as the crystal structures vibrated. Leah's glow intensified. Defensive response activated, she thought. They are testing us. From the tree line, creatures emerged, larger than any before, with armored shells and multifaceted eyes. They moved in formation, blocking the path forward. Kieran froze, but Leah's calm spread through him. Observe first. Respond second. The creatures approached, scanning them. Leah raised her hand and a soft pulse emanated from her. The creatures halted. Leah's thought form reached them. Peace, curiosity, cooperation. Slowly, the creatures lowered themselves, retreating without aggression. Kieran realized humans had a unique advantage. Where instinct could provoke fear, logic, reasoning, and trust could bridge the unknown. Leah's presence amplified that, and together they had demonstrated the human capacity for diplomacy, courage, and understanding. As the sun dipped lower in the alien sky, they reached the heart of the city, a circular plaza with energy fountains that refracted light into thousands of colors. The alien leaders stood waiting. Leah spoke again. They wish to recognize your value. Your species' strength lies in connection, in courage, and willingness to learn. Kieran felt a swell of pride. Humans had survived countless challenges, not because they were the strongest, but because they persisted, adapted, and reached out to others. That same spirit had allowed him to stand here now with Leah, facing a civilization far older and more advanced than his own. One of the leaders approached Kieran. It placed a hand, delicate and glinting, against his chest, signaling respect. Leah translated, "You have shown the qualities we honor. You may walk among us, learn, and be our partner." Kieran nodded solemnly. This was more than recognition. It was a bond. Humanity had stepped into a new chapter, not through conquest, but through courage and the willingness to connect. Night fell over Clyra 7, stars shimmering both above and within the energy structures of the city. Kieran and Leah stood together, observing the alien society thriving in harmony with the world around them. It was a vision of what could be, a mirror to human potential. "Together," Kieran said softly. Leah smiled, the iridescence of her skin glowing faintly in the twilight. "Yes." "Together," she responded. The first steps of interstellar alliance had been made. Humans had proven their worth not through brute force but through curiosity, adaptability, and the courage to reach beyond the known. Leah's presence reminded him that humans were not alone, and that partnership could amplify their strengths in ways unimaginable. They returned to the ship, carrying not just knowledge but a promise of what humanity could become. Leah hovered beside Kieran, quiet, reflective yet alive with potential. The night outside was vast, but within that ship, a small corner of the universe, hope and determination burned brighter than any star. Kieran knew that the challenges ahead would not be simple. The galaxy was full of unknowns, dangers, and mysteries, but humanity had always risen to the occasion, and now, guided by instinct, intelligence, and connection, they had taken the first real step into a future full of possibilities. And as the ship lifted from the planet, carrying them toward new worlds, new encounters, and new challenges, Kieran realized something profound. The essence of humanity was not in domination nor in isolation. It was in understanding, cooperation, and courage. Leah looked at him, and he knew that the partnership they had forged today would shape everything that followed. Together, human and alien, they could face the galaxy, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals, explorers, and allies. And in that moment, as the stars streamed past the viewport, Kieran understood why humans endured, why they thrived, why they mattered in a universe that often seemed indifferent. It wasn't their strength, nor their speed, nor their weapons. It was their heart, their mind, their courage to step forward, to connect, to learn, and to persist. The ship soared into the black expanse of space, carrying hope, curiosity, and the beginning of a bond that could change the fate of entire worlds. Kieran glanced at Leah, and she returned the gaze with a smile that promised more discoveries, more challenges, and more triumphs yet to come. The stars waited for them, and humanity was ready.